It's on page. Yeah. That's, this is causing them, Mr. Bailey, please go get,
He's right here.
Trenton Kirkland.
He's right here, Judge.
Okay. Okay, this is cause number 327-714. Case is style of state of Texas versus Trenton Kirkland. Is that your full name, Trenton Joel Kirkland?
Trenton Joel Kirkland.
Okay, how you doing, Mr. Kirkland?
Pretty good, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Mr. Kirkland. You're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Wendell Radford. Mr. Radford, how are you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. And the state is represented by Mr. Daniel Boyd. Mr. Boyd, how are you doing?
Doing well, Your Honor. How are you today?
All right, now, Mr. Radford, what is your announcement?
Judge, we're ready for trial. We would try this case to the bench. We have given a non-prosecution affidavit from the victim to the state several months ago. And as far as I know, it has not been dismissed.
Okay, state, what is your position? You consider to?
Moved out of state.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you want to do that now, or you want to, we can wait till, well, let's wait till the end of the docket.
For what?
You want to do a bench trial?
Yes, sir. We'll do a bench trial.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna call you back up. Just have a seat. Once you get up, Bo Harvey,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bo Harvey. Oh, good morning. It's on the pre-trial conference docket. First one. This is cause number 323-981. Case of style of state of Texas versus Bo Thomas Harvey. Mr. Harvey, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Harvey?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Mr. Harvey, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Tom Kelly. Mr. Kelly, how are you doing?
I'm well, Judge. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fine. State is represented by Ms. Julie Maxey. Ms. Maxey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Judge. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Mr. Kelly, this case is on the court's pretrial conference docket. What is your announcement?
Judge, I'd like to stay on this docket one more time if you'd allow. I've got some information, some discovery I'd like to get to Ms. Maxey before we make our final announcement here, Judge. I expect it to be a trial, but we're trying to reach a resolution.
Okay.
And I've got some things I'd like to get to the government.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna give you a reset. Okay, you just give us a standard reset would be all right?
That'd be fine.
Okay, give us a reset on Bo Harvey, first case on the court's pretrial conference docket. Keep it on pretrial conference. Okay, case is going to be reset to December 6th, 2021. Mr. Harvey, your attorney will be given your reset. Stay in contact with your attorney, your bondsman. Mr. Tom Kelly, you can go sign the reset.
Yes, Judge.
Is this your?
I have one other case, Your Honor.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Harvey, you can go over there by your attorney. That's fine. Brett Markentel.
Yes, Judge.
On the page 2 of the announcement docket, third from the bottom. This is cause number 329724, case of style of state of Texas versus Brett Markentel, Brett Tyler Markentel. Mr. Markentel, how you doing?
Yes, sir. Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing fine. Mr. Markentel, you here with your attorney, Mr. Tom Kelly. Who's the prosecutor? Mr. Markentel's case is on the court's announcement docket. What is the announcement you have?
Judge, we have everything that is paper discovery. I just need videos in time to
Okay,
look at it with my client, please.
discovery, okay. You stand to reset?
That's fine, Judge.
Okay, so I'm gonna reset January 10th of 2022. Mr. Markentel, your attorney will get your reset. Once you get your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go. You have a blessed day. And Mr. Kelly, this is your last case, is
I
that
believe
correct?
it is with you, Your Honor.
Okay, you're free to go. Once you get your reset, and you have a blessed day.
You as well, Judge. Thank you. Thank you.
Would you go get Melvin Palmer? Will you come forward? Okay, we're on the announcement docket, page 2. This is cause number 329596, the case of style of state of Texas versus Melvin Ray Palmer. Mr. Palmer, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing, Mr. Palmer?
All right.
Okay, Mr. Palmer, you're represented in your case by attorney William Wilkerson. He is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Wilkerson, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Judge.
Mr. Wilkerson, what is your announcement in Mr. Palmer's case?
Your Honor, Mr. Palmer has 2 pending felonies. We'd like to reset his case with the next felony setting.
Mr. Wilkerson. Is he, I don't see his name with the misdemeanor. Okay, hold on a minute. I was looking at the docket. I saw your name on the felony, but I don't see your name on the misdemeanors. Just hold on a minute, they're checking.
Judge, I think that was just filed due to a mistake on our part. We had the notice of resetting, but it didn't have my name in it on second look. It must have been the one that Mr. Palmer brought in. We have filed at about 4 o'clock on Friday, the letter of representation. So, but I will, of course, let the court know at this time that I am formally associated with the case, and that order should be trickling through your queue relatively soon.
Okay, they're checking on it. She's checking on it right now.
It's not in there yet.
Okay, so it's not in there yet. So what we'll do, Mr. Palmer, your case is gonna be reset. But your name will be on it, your attorney's. Mr. Wilkerson's name is not on, because right now it doesn't show he's the attorney of record, but once he gets the attorney, becomes the attorney of record, probably either today or tomorrow, then his name will appear on it. But for right now, your case is gonna be reset. You're gonna stand on that X, the 4X, and she's gonna give you a copy of your reset. Once you get your reset, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. Now, Mr. Wilkerson, did you have any other cases here today?
No, Your Honor, I believe that's the only one.
Okay, you free to go. You have a blessed day.
Thank you, Judge.
This one. Where's Mr. Hall is now? Oh, okay. Let's see, we got Mr. Shalander. That's you. Klotz is not here. Mr. Shalander, Charles Klotz.
Yes,
does
sir.
not appear-
No,
he
he's
has
with
not-
me.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Good morning, Judge.
Okay. This is cause number 325-816. Case is style of state of Texas versus Charles Stanton Klotz Jr. We have Mr. Charles Klotz appearing via Zoom in his attorney's office. And his attorney is Mr. Mel Shalander. Mr. Shalander, how are you doing?
Okay for Monday, Judge.
That's good. Now, Mr. Shalander, this case is on the court's trial docket. What is your announcement on this case?
We're ready.
Okay, state, what's your announcement?
Stays ready, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Mr. Shalander, you'll have to be on standby for 1:30 on tomorrow. I guess once we get through the docket today, we'll know where you stand on your case. Okay, so now you get ready to say something?
Just confirming, be there unless I'm told otherwise. Is that
Yes,
okay?
all right,
All right. Thank you, Judge.
all right, you're excused, you and Mr. Klotz are excused, y'all have a blessed day.
That's Coach, Judge, if you want to
Oh,
say
it's
that
Coach.
later.
Oh, it's Coach?
Coach.
Oh,
Coach.
okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, you and Mr. Coates are free to go, y'all have a blessed day. Nick, you need a please ready?
I can't get it ready until I look at it.
Okay. Mr. Lewis, are you ready on cloud? Is Mr. Cloud present? Okay, bailiff could get Mr. Cloud. We're in session in cause number 325-368 and cause number 325-370. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Craig Allen Gloud. Mr. Gloud, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Gloud?
All right, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Gloud. You're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Marvin Lewis Jr. Mr. Lewis, how are you doing?
Doing all right, Judge. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine. Mr. Lewis, what is your announcement, for Mr. Gloud's case?
Judge, I will be asking if we can get one more setting in this case, mainly because it ended up on the trial docket because we was anticipating another case coming through, which we found out that case has been rejected. We've got a new offer from the state, which definitely changes some things. So if I can get another setting, I think we can either have it ready to trial or have it worked out. I don't need long.
Okay, what's his state?
It's not opposed, Your Honor. There were notes in here that from the other prosecutor that there was potentially a new case coming in. I think that case was rejected ultimately, and I have given a new offer to Mr. Lewis on the case.
Okay. Could you give us a setting on the trial docket?
January 31st.
Okay, it's reset to January 31st of 2022. Mr. Lewis, you can get your reset. And Mr. Gloud, once you get your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. Mr. Lewis, is this your only case?
It is, Judge.
Okay, you're free to go as well. Once you get your reset, and you have a blessed day.
I sent you the tab. We'll go minutes.
That must be- that's a C. We have it. Which one is that? Sanchez? This is cause number 328-631. Case is style of state of Texas versus Jonathan David Sanchez. We're in session and cause number 328631. Case is style of State of Texas versus Jonathan David Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sanchez, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Sanchez, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Sanchez?
Good.
That's good. Mr. Sanchez, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Willard Hall. Mr. Hall, how are you doing?
Doing great, Your Honor.
That's good. Mr. Sanchez, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This document alleges that on or about October 29 of 2020, while you in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Sanchez, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Sanchez, how do you plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty. Yeah, guilty.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Sanchez, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Sanchez, there are a set of initials JS on the line next to a box that's checked guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the second box states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Willard Hall, did I ask whether or not you was waiving a record in this case?
Sorry.
Did I ask whether or not you was waiving a record in this case?
Yes,
Okay.
no, Your Honor, but I do waive the record.
Okay. Now, Mr. Sanchez, I have another document before me that's titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Sanchez, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I've just mentioned, did your attorney, Mr. Hall, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objections. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Hall, you advised in counsel, Mr. Sanchez, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Sanchez, your attorney, Mr. Hall, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sanchez, I will accept your plea guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea guilty and waivers was freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
60 days jail probated over 1 year. $500 fine, 40 hours community service, DWI education course, drug and alcohol assessment, and ignition interlock.
Mr. Sanchez, the state is offering that you serve 60 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you would not have to serve any more time. You would not be required to serve any time in Jefferson County Jail because you will be on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs. And the court cost in this case is $422. Your total fine and court costs comes to an amount of $922. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, or your analysis fee of $15 each month. And you'll be required to pay Jefferson County DWI education class an initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, your total amount that you would have to pay each month while you're on probation in monthly installments is $160. Will you be able to pay the $160 each month?
Yes, sir.
You'll also be required to perform 40 hours of community service, attend and complete a DWI education class. You'll be required to have a drug and alcohol assessment, and you will be required to install a DWI interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate in. You will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Mr. Sanchez, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Sanchez, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Sanchez, you're gonna stand on the X next to your attorney. You're gonna follow the directions of our court clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
Your Honor, I have another case on
Yes.
docket this morning. It's Mr. Cervantes, that's the case I've had
Okay,
for several weeks.
okay, we're gonna get to that as soon as he finish doing this here, because we on YouTube and she'll be talking and you'll be talking, and so just hold on for a second. And once you, Mr. Bailiff, once you go get Mr. Israel Cervantes.
He's right here.
You swear you've never been convicted or given a charge, adjudication, or regular probation for felony or misdemeanor in this state or any other state?
Yes.
And if you have no other charges, can you? Okay. Here's your probation papers. You need to report when you leave here, and the address is on the back. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're in session in cause number 330510, case of style of state of Texas versus Israel Cervantes. That says Israel Claudillo Cervantes. How are you doing, Mr. Cervantes? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Cervantes. You're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Willard Hall. Mr. Hall, do you have an announcement you'd like to make, Mr. Cervantes?
Your Honor, this case due to me, we have filed a discovery motion, discovery's underway. We haven't had a chance to go through it or anything yet, so we would ask for a 60-day recess.
Give us a reset date.
That'd be January 3rd.
Okay, Mr. Hall, case is gonna be, Mr. Cervantes' case is gonna be reset to January 3rd of 2022. Mr. Cervantes, your attorney is gonna be given a copy of your reset. Once you get your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. And Mr. Hall, I think this is your last case, is that
Yes,
correct?
sir, may I be excused?
Yes, you may be excused, and you have a blessed day as well.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay? Who's, you have several clients, who is it in reference to?
I'd like to approach on.
On Jax? Okay, why don't you go get Mr. Jax, Patrick Lee Jax, and Jason Doyle, and Michael Prejean. Sir, what's your name? Okay. This is cause number 329524, case of style of state of Texas versus Michael Joseph Prejean. Mr. Prejean, how are you doing? Okay, Mr. Prejean, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Alvin Samuel. Mr. Samuel, how are you doing?
I'm great.
Mr. Samuel, what is your announcement on Mr. What is this?
We're doing a motion to forfeit and a dismissal in consideration of that, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Mr. Prejean, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Prejean, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you out?
Yes.
Okay, you may put your hand down. Now, Mr. Prejean, I have before me a motion to forfeit. Mr. Prejean, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Is that your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Prejean, prior to you signing this document, did your attorney, Mr. Samuel, go over this document with you? And did you read and understand everything in this document?
Yes.
And is everything in this document true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Okay, Mr. Prejean, the court is going to grant the state's motion to forfeit the weapon in cause number 329524. The dismissal was on the,
Yes, Judge, I
Cabinet.
submitted the dismissal.
Mr. Prejean, I just signed a dismissal in your case. It's being printed off. The attorney is being handed a copy, and this will conclude your case. You're free to go, and you have a blessed day. Levi Creekmore. This is Mr. Creekmore. Would you please take your gum out your mouth?
Yes, sir, I apologize.
Okay, Mr. Creekmore, this is cause number 328796. six. Case of South State of Texas versus Levi Elwood Creekmore. Mr. Creekmore, how you doing? That's good. Mr. Creekmore, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Alvin Samuel. Mr. Samuel, you have an announcement you'd like to make in Mr. Creekmore's case?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm just visiting with the prosecutor. There's mitigating information that's been presented. We'd like an opportunity for that to be considered, and we're asking for another reset.
Could you give us
Which docket is this on?
It's on the announcement docket, page 2, the fourth person.
It'll be January 3rd.
Okay, case is being reset January 3rd. Mr. Creekmore, January 3rd of 2022.
Yes.
Your attorney is going to be given a copy of your reset. Once you get your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go. You have a blessed day. Yes, the sign the reset. No, I think you have to sign it. You're gonna sign it over there in front of,
Yes. Come on.
Patrick Lee Jacks. This is cause number 325-880. Case of Solid State of Texas versus Patrick Lee Jacks. Mr. Jacks, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Jacks?
Pretty good.
That's good. Mr. Jacks, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Alvin Samuel. Mr. Samuel, you have an announcement you'd like to make,
Yes, Your
Mr.
Honor,
Jacks?
There's some mitigating information we'd like to present to the court. We can get it resolved at the next hearing, if you allow that to.
Okay, give us a reset date.
January 3rd.
Okay, case is gonna be reset to January 3rd of 2022. Mr. Jacks, your attorney is gonna be given a copy of your reset. Once you get your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go. Mr. Samuel, you can stand over there, sign your reset.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Jacks has two cases. Other one is cause number 324-650. Jason Dahl.
I didn't get a response from Mr. Dahl. And Ms. Tomplay also, Stacy Tomplay.
Okay, you know, okay.
I'm not sure. I attempted to contact, we've given notice. I was attempting to contact him.
That's fine. Okay, this case is on the trial docket. Cause number 327-066. Case of style of State of Texas versus Stacy Yvette Tomplate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Tomplate, would you come forward? Trial docket, Stacy Yvette Tomplate, page 3 of the trial docket. Fourth from the bottom. This is cause number 327-066. Case of style of State of Texas versus Stacy Yvette Tomplate. Ms. Tomplate, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Ms. Tomplate?
Okay.
That's good, Ms. Tomplate. You're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Alvin Samuel. Mr. Samuel, what's your announcement in Ms. Tomplate's case?
Your Honor, Ms. Tomplay does want a trial. And I'm due in Houston at 11. That's why I'm trying to get this done, unless it's today, because I have a trial setting in Harris County.
Okay, so I mean, what's your announcement? You ready, not ready? I mean, what's your announcement?
We're not ready.
Okay. Okay, state,
Oh, the state has no objection to that.
okay. Okay, so this case is gonna be continued. Miss, give us a reset date on Miss Tomplate's case,
January 10th.
January
May I ask a
10th.
question, Your Honor?
Hmm?
May I ask a question? Is it, does this court allow preferential settings on trial?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you know, the number one setting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to get a number one setting on this. For the
Okay.
next time.
Put it on the number one on the January 10th trial docket.
Yes, fine.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Tomplate, your case is gonna be reset January 10th, 2022. Stand on the 4X. Well, your attorney is gonna get your reset. Once you get your reset, you'll be free to go. You have a blessed day.
Thank you.
And is it, okay. We'll, again, we'll give you an opportunity to get in contact with your other client.
Thank you. Your
Okay,
Honor.
we still call it a court docket.
Am I free to go?
Yes,
Thank you.
we have someone over. Get out next, please. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I'm on the trial docket, you know.
Okay, hold on a minute.
Thank you. Brittany Living is probably way down.
I see it, I have it. Mr. Bailey, would you please get Brittany Living? Trial docket, page 3, number 2 case on page 3. Okay, this is cause number 326308. Case is filed in the state of Texas versus Brittany Living, also known as Brittany Sade Living.
Yes, sir.
Okay, how you doing, Ms. Living?
I'm blessed.
That's good. Ms. Living, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Mark Fagger. Mr. Fagger, how are you doing?
I'm good, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Fagger, what is your announcement in Ms. Living's case?
We're ready for trial.
Okay.
I am set though in a bunch of other courts this week and other stuff, but we're ready for trial and we'll visit with
Mr. Holmes, can I, Judge, Mr. Holmes, I talked to Eric, we were.
Oh, Mr. Living,
Oh, okay.
whatever you have to say,
Yeah.
you need to tell that
Okay,
to
so
your
Mr.
attorney.
Holmes-
Yeah, your attorney is your mouthpiece.
Yeah. Your Honor, go ahead and set it for trial and if he no shows, then we'll ask the court and prosecution just to do a bench trial and see what we can
Mr.
do.
Mark, he said he's not-
Mr. Boyd, what's the state's announcement?
The state's ready, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. So we'll just have y'all on standby tomorrow at 1:30. If, now, let me ask you this here, state, are you opposed to, you saying you was asking for a bench trial?
Yes, if the state, if witness is going to show, we're going to ask to do a bench trial. If no shows, we're going to ask to do a bench trial.
You're opposed to that?
he said he's not-
No, Your Honor, tomorrow?
Yes.
I'm not opposed to that.
Okay, so we'll just be on standby for 1:30 tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. See y'all tomorrow.
Your Honor, do you want me here today or tomorrow?
Whatever time y'all want to do it. Y'all want to do it today or tomorrow?
Today,
Okay,
this morning, if that's possible.
that's fine.
He said he's not gonna come. He came tomorrow.
Miss Living, Miss Living, please hold it down. Talk to your attorney outside of the courtroom. We have next. Is that Benitez?
If that is, it's not.
Oh, okay. Is it? I don't see, I see. This is Sanchez. Did I give you Benitez back? This is Sanchez. That's Sanchez. And this is Hallis and Hallis.
Judge, permission.
Hold on a minute. You getting ready to do it, please?
Oh.
Okay. Mr. We in session in cause number 324-960, cases out of the state of Texas versus Joseph Janiel Benitez Gomez.
We hold Mr. Gomez. Sure. Just make sure you speak up.
Court in session in two cases. First case is cause number 324-960. Second case is cause number 326-164. All two cases are styled the state of Texas versus Joseph Janiel Benitez Gomez. Mr. Benitez Gomez, is that your full name? How you doing, Mr. Benitez Gomez? That's good. Mr. Benitez Gomez, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? You may put your hand down. Mr. Benitez Gomez, you're here represented in your cases by your attorney, Mr. James Paget. Mr. Paget, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Your Honor.
Mr. Paget, do you waive a record in Mr. Benitez Gomez cases?
Yes, Your Honor, we do.
Mr. Benitez Gomez, in cause number 324-960, the information alleges that on or about October 18th of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of resisting arrest, search, transportation. Mr. Gomez, do you understand what you've been charged with? And to this charge, Mr. Gomez, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Are you pleading guilty because you're guilty? You have to speak up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Gomez, I have before me a document that is titled the misdemeanor plea admonishments, also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
That's the one we just went over.
And on page 2 of this same document, Mr. Benitez Gomez, there are a set of initials on a line, or the initials are JJBG, and they're on a line next to a box that's checked guilty. Did you place your initials on this document? And on page 3 of this same document, Mr. Benitez Gomez, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, Mr. Benitez Gomez, there is a signature above there. Well, actually, this document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are two boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that? Now, Mr. Benitez Gomez, I have another document here. This document is titled discovery certification. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant? Now, Mr. Benitez Gomez, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I have just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Paget, go over these documents with you? And did you read and understand everything in these documents? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objections to states one, Your Honor.
No objection. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Paget, you advised and counsel Mr. Benitez Gomez. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None, Your Honor.
Mr. Benitez Gomez, your attorney, Mr. Paget, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation? Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, speak up.
Yet speak up. Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation? Okay. Mr. Benitez Gomez, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
90 days jail, probated over 18 months. $800 fine. 40-hour community service.
Okay.
And cause number 326164 will be dismissed in consideration for a plea in this case.
Okay, Mr. Benitez Gomez. The state is offering that you serve 90 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not serve any time in jail on this case because you'll be placed on probation for 1 year. For 18 months. During the 18-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $800 plus court costs of, in this case, of $307. Yeah, and the total amount of the fine and the court costs comes to $1,107. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. You'll be required to pay these payments in monthly installments of $140 per month. Will you be able to pay the $140 each month? And you will also be required to perform 40 hours of community service. You'll be required to and the state will dismiss cause number 326164. And you'll also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. Mr. Benitez Gomez, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
You think it's fair?
Do you think that the state's offer is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer? Okay, Mr. Benitez Gomez, I will follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. And Mr. Benitez Gomez, I'm signing the dismissal in cause number 326164. You can stand on the X next to your attorney, follow the directions of our court clerk. Once you finish following her directions and getting a copy of your dismissal, you'll be free to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Put your right thumb on the blue light for me.
Thumb.
Right thumb. Not hard, just slightly. There you go, thank you.
It's okay, you're doing good.
Let me ask you here, now, Mr. Benitez Gomez, are you a citizen? Okay.
Right, you'll sign this past to your right, you won't be able to see it. So raise your right hand. You swear you've never been convicted or given deferred adjudication or regular probation for felony or misdemeanor in this state or any other state? True?
Other than these charges right here, we don't have any other criminal cases.
Other than the possession.
Okay, Mr. Paget, you may be excused and you have a blessed day. Mr. Bailey, would you please call Yolanda Randall? Okay, this is cause number 3266528. Case of Solid State of Texas versus Yolanda Renee Randall. Ms. Randall, is that your full name? Yolanda. Okay, how are you doing, Ms. Randall? I'm doing fine. Thanks, Ms. Randall. You're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Langston Adams. Mr. Adams, how are you doing?
Doing good.
Okay, Mr. Adams, case is on the trial docket. What is your announcement?
I'm not ready.
Okay. So you asked for continuous?
Yes, sir.
Okay, state.
The state doesn't object to continuing trial.
Okay, give us a trial date.
January 10th.
Okay, this case is be reset January 10th of 2022. Ms. Randall, your attorney is gonna get a copy of your reset. Once you get a copy of your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, sir, Judge.
Is that Sherelle Bennett? Mr. Bailiff, would you please go get Sherelle Bennett?
She's on the trial ticket.
She's on the pretrial conference docket, the second case. Okay, this is cause number 324096, case of Solid State of Texas versus Sherelle L. Bennett. Ms. Bennett, is that your full name, Sherelle? Is that Sherelle Lee Bennett? Lay Bennett. How you doing, Ms. Bennett?
I'm all right.
That's good. Ms. Bennett, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Nathan Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Judge.
Mr. Reynolds, you have an announcement. This case is on the pretrial conference docket.
Judge, she was, we had an agreement for her to pay the fine, and
I see that.
she's a little short on the fine.
So she need more time?
If she could, please, Judge, maybe one more reset.
How much time do you need?
I don't know how long is the reset?
Well, just the reset is to give you time to pay. You said you need a little bit more time.
Yes, sir.
How much time do you need?
60 days.
Okay, let's reset it 60 days.
January 10th.
Okay, it's gonna be reset January 10th. to pay the fine and court costs. Now, Ms. Bennett, your attorney is gonna get a copy of your reset. Once you get a copy of your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. Is this your only case?
It is, Judge.
Okay, you're free to go as well, Mr. Reynolds, and you have a blessed day. Mr. Turk? Could we call William Hallis? Okay. We're in session in 3 cases. First case is cause number 324374. Second case is cause number 324376. Third case is cause number 324778. All 3 cases are styled the state of Texas versus William James Hallis III. Mr. Hallis, is that your full name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Hallis, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Hallis, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hallis, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Hallis?
Doing well, are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Hallis, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Brent Turk. Mr. Turk, how are you doing?
Doing well, Judge. Thank you for asking.
That's good. Mr. Turk,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hallis case, and well, Mr. Hallis, you in cause number 324374. I have an information before me, and this information alleges that on or about August 6th of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed a Class A misdemeanor offense of deadly conduct. Mr. Hallis, excuse me, yeah, Mr. Hallis, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to discharge, Mr. Hallis, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest, no.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Judge.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Hallis, I also have before me a document that is titled the misdemeanor plea admonishments. And on page 2 of this document, well, let me go back to page 1. Mr. Hallis, on page 1 of this document, do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on page 2 of this document, Mr. Hallis, there's a set of initials on the line next to a box that's checked no contingent, which means no contest.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you recognize these? Are these your initials?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on the next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first document states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I also have before me a document that is titled discovery certification. Mr. Hallis, do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Hallis, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Turk, go over these documents with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, I have before me state's exhibit number 1, which is the misdemeanor plea admonishments. State, you also like to offer state's exhibit number 2, the probable cause affidavit?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection.
Okay, no objection. State's exhibits number 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Turk, you advised and counsel Mr. Hallis. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Judge.
Mr. Hallis, your attorney, Mr. Turk, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hallis, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
180 days jail, probated over 1 year. The $500 fine, 40 hours community service. It's no contact with the victim Nestor Punay, P-U-N-A-Y, and restitution of.
Okay, Mr. Pune.
And restitution of $1,001 also to the same victim. And this case will run concurrent with cause number 324778. And the state is also going to dismiss in consideration for a plea in this case, cause number 324376.
Okay. Mr. Hallis, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail because you will be placed on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 for court costs of $307, which comes to a total of fine and court costs of $807. You'll also be required to perform 40 hours of community service. Well, let me back up. You'll also be required to pay a restitution in the amount of $1,100.
$1,001.
Okay, yeah. Let me back up. Okay. You'll be also be required to pay restitution in the amount of $1,001 to Nestor Pune, and you'll be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. You'll also be required to reimburse Jefferson County court-appointed attorney's fees of $250. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the amount that you'd have to pay each month in this case, is $265. Mr. Hallis, will you be able to pay the $265 each month?
Yes, sir.
You'll also be required to perform 40 hours of community service. Cannot have any contact with Nestor Pune. You will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. This case will run concurrent with cause number 324778. And the case will, in the court, well, the state will be dismissing cause number 324376. 6. And just reiterate, you cannot have any contact with a Nestor Pune. Now, Mr. Hallis, do you understand the state's offer in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you think that the state's offer in this case is fair and just?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Hallis, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Now, Mr. Hallis, we will move on to your next case. And your next case is cause number 324778. And in this case, Mr. Hallis, the information alleges that on or about August 6th of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Hallis, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to this charge, Mr. Hallis, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hallis, I have before me an information, well, the misdemeanor plea admonishments in this case, do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on page 2 of this same document, there's a set of initials on a line next to a box that's checked nolo contendere, which means no contest. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on the next document, which is a trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box check states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Second box states that you're waiving, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Hallis, I also have another document here. This document is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Hallis, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I've just mentioned, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment. Now, State, you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1 and State's Exhibit number 2, the probable cause affidavit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections? No objections. State's Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Turkey advised and counsel, Mr. Hallis, in this case as well. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Judge.
Mr. Hallis, your attorney, Mr. Turk, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has he provided fully effective and competent legal representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hallis, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
It's a 180 days jail, probated over 1 year,
Okay,
$500 fine, 40 hours community service,
okay.
DWI education and drug and alcohol assessment, and also ignition interlock. And this case will run concurrently with cause number 324374. And the state will dismiss 324376 in consideration for a plea.
Okay, Mr. Hallis, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in jail because you'll be placed on probation for a period of 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $397. You'll also be required to pay a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. And the court-appointed attorney's fees, you'll be required to reimburse Jefferson County in the amount of $50. You'll also be required to pay the Jefferson County DWI education class and initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay $50. Now, your total amount that you will be required to pay in this case in monthly installments is $105 each month. Will you be able to pay the $105 each month?
That's on top of the other.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, will you be, also, you'll be required to perform 40 hours of community service. You will be required to attend a DWI education class and have a drug and alcohol assessment. You'll also be required to install a DWI interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. And this case will run concurrent with the previous case, which is cause number 324374. And the state will dismiss cause number 324376. And you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. Mr. Hallis, do you understand the state's offer?
So I gotta pay $30 a month in your analysis?
Well, yeah, I think maybe the probation office may require you to only pay it once since you're on probation twice. I mean, for 2 cases. Okay. Now, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Hallis, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Hallis, you're gonna stand on the X next to your attorney, and as the court stated in the probation, maybe make sure you realize that you have to install a DWI interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. And Mr. Hallis, once you finish in here, now, with your case, you'll be free to go. And you have a blessed day, and I'm signing the dismissal on the other case.
Yes, Your Honor.
You should get that before you leave. Thank you.
Charles, can I get your right thumbprint? Lift it up. Lift it up on. Try it again. Try it again. Hold on. Thank you. I'll let you know when it's signed.
What? Before you, I think I've been signing the wrong date on some of those.
That's what it's telling me.
Okay, you sign the signature. You want to see what I will.
That dismissal is coming off right now.
Sign for me.
We're in session and calls number 324-546, case of style, the state of Texas versus Dewana Fontenot. Ms. Fontenot, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Fontenot, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Ms. Fontenot, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Ms. Fontenot? I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. Ms. Fontenot, you're here represented by your attorney, Ms. Marva Provo. Ms. Provo, how are you doing? Ms. Provo, do you waive a record in Ms. Fontenot's case?
Yes, we do.
Ms. Fontenot, I have before me a document that is titled Information. It alleges that on or about June 21st of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed to Class A misdemeanor offensive assault. Ms. Fontenot, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes.
And to this charge, Ms. Fontenot, how do you plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes.
Ms. Fontenot, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment, also labeled as State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
On page 2 of this document, there are a set of initials on a line that's next to a box that's checked over contingent, which means no contest. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes.
On page 3 of the same document, Ms. Fontenot, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes.
And on the next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification to Defendant's Right of Appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes.
There are two boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box states that this is a plea bargaining case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And Ms. Fontenot, I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Ms. Fontenot, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Fontenot, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Ms. Provo, go over these documents with you?
Yes.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
State, I have before me State's Exhibits number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment, and State, you like to offer State's Exhibit number 2, the probable cause affidavit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No, sir.
No objections. State's Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Ms. Provo, you've advised and counseled Ms. Fontenot. Is there any evidence that she is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Fontenot, your attorney, Ms. Provo, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with her representation?
Yes, sir.
Has she provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Fontenot, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
It's 90 days jail, probated over 1 year.
What? I'm looking at the deferred.
I'm sorry. It's
Okay,
1 year deferred adjudication.
1 year, okay.
And then it was no contact with the victim, Sean T. Harden.
You say no contact,
And it's SHAWNTEE, Harden.
Shanti.
And this case will run concurrently with cause number 19-33239.
19-33239.
And there was no fine, Your Honor, but there was 10 days jail that she had served to go towards court costs.
Okay. Okay, 10 days credit toward the court cost?
Yes, Your Honor.
So the court costs on actually, okay. Okay. Now, Ms. Fontenot, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. During this 1 year probationary period, you will not be required to pay a fine. However, the court is assessing $352 in court costs. However, you will be given credit for the 10 days that you spent in jail that will go toward your court costs at $100 per day. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month, and reimburse Jefferson County Court-appointed attorney's fees of $250. Your total monthly installments is $130 a month. I think that's before they credit the 10 days toward the court costs. Will you be able to pay the $130 per month?
Yes.
You'll also be required to perform 40 hours. You didn't announce, did you, she's performing 40 hours of community service?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You'll also be required to perform 40 hours of community service. And this case will run concurrent with cause number 19-33239. And you cannot have any contact with Shanti Harden. You will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Ms. Fontenot, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Fontenot, the court is going to defer finding of guilt, place you on deferred adjudication for a period of 1 year with the agreement that you've made with the state. Ms. Fontenot, if you successfully complete your deferred probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It will not appear on your record as a conviction, and you may qualify for non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney, Ms. Provo, about a non-disclosure. She's quite competent in those matters. Ms. Fontenot, please stand on the X next to your attorney. You're going to follow the directions of our court clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Provost, you may be excused, and you have a blessed day as well.
It's a signature tab right here. You can sign for me. You won't see it, but I will. Yes, Provo. Raise your right hand for me. Do you swear you've never been convicted or given deferred adjudication or regular probation for misdemeanor or felony in this city or state? And do you have any other pending charges? Once you leave here, you are to report to probation. Here's the address. Okay? You're welcome.
Patrick Stewart?
Yes. If I may I make 2 announcements before we do that, plea, if it's okay?
Okay, hold on a minute. Stewart. Because one of them is on Kruger.
That's correct.
Could you call John, is that Kruger or
He's right
Kruger?
here in the courtroom. Kruger.
Kruger. This is cause number 324794, State of Texas versus John Michael Kruger. Mr. Kruger, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Kruger, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Dustin Galmore. Mr. Galmore, how are you doing?
Great, Judge. Thanks for asking.
That's good. You're welcome. Now, Mr. Galmore, what is, okay, this Mr. Kruger's case is on the court's trial docket. What's your announcement?
Judge, we've got a plea agreement and we'll need to reset for a plea date so the state can refile.
Oh, okay.
We're asking if the court would consider letting us reset to Friday this week.
Okay.
Which one?
John Kruger.
John Kruger on the trial docket, third from the bottom. Reset it to Friday. No. Yeah, he's setting it for a plea.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
What's that? Is that the 12th? I think that's November the 12th.
It is like, yeah, oh, yeah, it is.
Okay, we're gonna reset it November 12th, 9 a.m. You show back up here for the plea. This will, your attorney is gonna get a copy. You reset, once you get your reset from your attorney, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Judge.
You stand over there and get your reset.
The other one is Hendricks from trial docket.
Ms. Hendricks here.
I believe he's on Zoom. I believe that's James' design.
Oh, okay. Hendricks, he's on page 4, the second person on page 4. Okay, he's way down there. Okay, this is cause number 327862. Case of style of State of Texas versus James Chase Hendricks. Mr. Hendricks, you can take your mic off of mute. Mr. Hendricks, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Judge?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Hendricks, Mr. Galmore, what's your announcement in Mr. Hendricks' case?
Your Honor, we're still a trial already.
The state?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Mr. Galmore, just be on standby for 1:30 tomorrow. Mr. Hendricks, you're free to go. Your attorney is gonna be, you'll be on standby for 1:30 tomorrow. You have to appear here in person unless otherwise told to you by your attorney.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, we'll inform your attorney if you don't have to appear. All right, you're free to go and you have a blessed day.
Yes, sir. You too.
You're welcome.
Judge, if the court will allow me, I need to make an announcement of the 252nd. My
Okay.
scheduled time is at 45. So
That's fine.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Mr. Freeman? Mr. Freeman? Sir, what's your name?
Mark Pearson.
Mark Pearson. This is cause number 327254, case of style of the State of Texas versus Mark Anthony Pearson. We have Mr. Pearson, who is present in court. with his attorney, Mr. Antoine Freeman. Mr. Pearson, how you doing? And Mr. Freeman, how you doing?
I'm good, yo.
That's good. Mr. Freeman, what's your announcement in Mr. Pearson's case?
We're ready, Your Honor.
State, what's
State's
your?
ready, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Freeman, you'll be on standby. Mr. Pearson, stay in contact with your attorney, stand by for 1:30 tomorrow, because if this case comes up, our jury shows at 1:30 on tomorrow. That's when we pick a jury. Well, we'll see, we'll see. I mean, you got a couple of cases before you on page 3. So we'll let you know whether or not you have to be here or not. But stay in contact with your attorney, Mr. Pearson, so you're free to go. You're tentatively scheduled to come back at 1:30 tomorrow, but stay in contact with your attorney. He'll let you know whether or not you have to come back or not. And we'll let him know. All right. Next case is cause number 326234. Case is filed in the state of Texas versus Brandon Joseph Roberson. Your full name is Brandon Joseph Roberson? How you doing, Mr. Roberson?
I'm doing fine.
That's good, Mr. Roberson. You're here with your attorney, Mr. Antoine Freeman. Mr. Freeman, what's your announcement, Mr. Roberson's case? State?
State ready, Your Honor.
Okay, ready. Mr. Roberson, stay in contact with your attorney. Tentatively, we're scheduled to be back at 1:30 to pick a jury. Your attorney will let you know whether or not you need to appear or whether or not you shouldn't appear. Okay? 1:30 tomorrow. All right, so you're free to go. You have a blessed day. And this is your only cases, Mr. Okay, Mr. Freeman, you're free to go. You have a blessed day. Mark Jones. Mr. Mark Jones, could you get Mr. Mark Jones?
No, I need to stop coming early.
Well, we got it.
Every time I come early, you don't even recognize.
What's the name?
when they come on.
Great, this is cause number 326142. Case is styled the state of Texas versus Mark Wayne Jones. Is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Jones? That's good. Now, Mr. Jones, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Tom Burbank. Mr. Burbank, how are you doing?
Doing fine, Judge.
That's good. Mr. Burbank, what is your announcement in Mr. Jones' case?
We're ready, Judge, subject to the state being ready or
State?
whatever the state needs to do.
State's ready, Your Honor.
State's ready.
Okay, now, Mr. Burbank, you and your client will be on standby till 1:30 tomorrow to be, return to court. Mr. Jones, stay in contact with your attorney. He'll let you know whether or not you need to not appear, but tentatively, we're scheduled to pick a jury at 1:30 on tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow afternoon, right?
1:30,
There's
yes.
other cases in front of you. So will we know late tomorrow morning?
Yeah, we should know.
Okay, so I'll
Yeah.
call
Okay,
Okay, I'll do that, okay?
all right.
See you.
You're free to go and you have a
Maybe
blessed day.
excuse to that, whatever
Yes,
day.
you may be excused. You have a
Thank
blessed
See
day.
you later, Mr. Johnson.
Okay. Yes, it's cause number 322055. Case of style of state of Texas versus Rebecca Jean Brown. Is that correct?
Yes.
How you doing, Ms. Brown? That's good, Ms. Brown. You're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Tom Burbank. Mr. Burbank, what is your announcement in Ms. Brown's case?
Your Honor, the state has made a new offer in which they have to refile. We have accepted that offer, and so we asked that it be placed on the plea docket. And we'll take care of
Okay,
it.
when can we, how long is it gonna take to refile?
I mean, it can just be a regular reset and,
We can do whenever it's convenient. for the court.
Yeah, I'm trying, let's get it, let's see if get it done within the month,
December sixth,
November.
December sixth. Oh, you want it in November?
Yes,
Okay. That's not funny.
Yes, it is.
Okay, November. You want it next week?
that's fine with you, next week?
Is that fine with the state?
That's fine. November 15th?
Okay,
Next week?
it can be reset to November 15th, 2021. Mr. Burbank, you can get your reset. Once you get your reset, Ms. Brown, once you get your reset from your attorney, be free to go and you have a blessed day. And Mr. Burbank, you can get your reset. Once you get your reset, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. We're in session in cause number 327714, the state of Texas versus Trenton Kirkland. We have Mr. Kirkland appearing in court with his attorney, Mr. Wendell Radford. Mr. Radford, Is the defense ready?
Yes, sir, we're ready.
State, are you ready?
State's ready, Your Honor.
State, would you like to read the information?
Yes, Your Honor. In the name and by the
Well,
authority.
let's do this here before. Now, this is a bench trial, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct, Your Honor.
We'll waive
And-
the jury, Your Honor.
And state, you have any objection to the defense waiving the jury?
No objection.
Okay, no objection. Now, state, would you like to read the information?
Yes, Your Honor. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, comes now the undersigned Assistant Criminal District Attorney of Jefferson County, Texas, on behalf of the state of Texas, and presents in and to the County Court of Law of Jefferson County, Texas, that in Jefferson County, Texas, Trenton Kirkland, hereinafter styled the defendant, heretofore on or about September 13th, 2020, did then and there intelligently, knowingly, and recklessly cause bodily injury to another, namely Dominique Citizen, hereafter styled the complainant, by dragging complainant off a bed onto the floor at the time of said assault. A complainant was a person with whom the defendant had a dating relationship. Against the peace and dignity of the state.
And Mr. Kirkland, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Not guilty.
Okay. Now, state, would you like to make an opening statement? Or you waive your opening
State would
statement?
waive the opening statement. Your Honor.
Defense?
No opening statement. Your
Okay.
Honor.
Mr. Boyd, you may present the state's case.
State would call its first witness, Dominique Citizen.
Mr. Bailiff, would you please call the name of Dominique Citizen? Okay, no response from Dominique Citizen. State?
State rest, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the defense would move for an instructed verdict.
Okay, that motion will be granted. And Mr. Kirkland, you have been acquitted of these charges. You're gonna stand on the X by your attorney. We should be able to get a copy of that judgment. Once you get a copy of the judgment, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, Mr. Rafford, you may be excused. We're in session and cause number 327966. Case is style of State of Texas versus Michael Gallo III. Mr. Gallo, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Gallo? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Gallo, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Peter Dahl. Mr. Dahl, how are you doing?
I'm pretty fair, Judge.
That's good. Mr. Dahl, what is your announcement in Mr. Gallo's case that's set on the trial docket?
Well, in conversations with both the prosecutor and my client, several things have come up that I wasn't aware of, so I would ask for another 30 days. We're going to trial, then we could go to trial.
Oh, State, you have any objections?
No objections, Your Honor.
Okay, so you're gonna get your continuance,
Yes.
which will be granted. Mr. Dahl, just stand on the X in front of court coordinator. She'll give you a reset. Once you get your reset, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Okay, thank you.
She will, yeah. Stand on the far X. Okay. That's Mr. This case is gonna be reset for the trial on the trial docket. That's Mr. Gallo. He's on the trial docket. Forty-two.
Okay. Oh, I thought you wanted, I thought you was listening.
So he's playing on one of the cases, Mr.
Yes.
Okay,
He's playing on one and one's gonna be dismissed
okay,
with,
okay, Mr. Okay. We can go ahead on and get started. When the court is in session in two cases. First case is cause number 321-940. Second case is cause number 321-942. Both cases are style of state of Texas versus Patrick D. Stewart. Mr. Stewart, is that your full name? Mr. Stewart, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Stewart, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Stewart, you may put your hand down. Mr. Stewart, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. Mr. Stewart, you're here represented in your cases by your attorney, Mr. Dustin Galmore. Mr. Galmore, how are you doing?
great, Judge, thanks, Chris.
Mr. Stewart, in cause number 321-942, the information alleges that on or about January 26th of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of interference with emergency telephone call. Mr. Stewart, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Stewart, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? Mr. Stewart, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments, also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of the same document, Mr. Stewart, there are a set of initials on a line next to a box that's checked no contender. Are these your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant? There are two boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And the second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Stewart, I also have a document before me. This document is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Stewart, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I've just mentioned, Did your attorney, Mr. Gallimore, go over these documents with you?
Yes,
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
yes, Your Honor.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Date that. State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment, we'd like to offer State's Exhibit number 1 and State's Exhibit number 2.
Yes, Your
Probable
Honor.
cause affidavit. Any objections, Mr. Gallimore? No objections? State's Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Gallimore, you have advised and counseled Mr. Stewart. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Stewart, your attorney, Mr. Gallimore, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Mr. Stewart, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of no contest and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargaining agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
It's 7 days jail. The defendant has credit for 7 days, court costs to be taxed and retired. And also in consideration, cause number 321940 will be dismissed in consideration.
Okay, Mr. Stewart, the state is offering that you serve 7 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you do not have to serve any more time in Jefferson County Jail on this case because you've already served 7 days in Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for time served. The court cost in this case is $352, but you will not have to pay the court cost because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court cost will be taxed and retired. Mr. Stewart, do you understand? And as also, Mr. Stewart, the state will be dismissing cause number 321940. Now, Mr. Stewart, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Stewart, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Stewart, you're going to stand on the X next to your attorney. You're going to follow the directions of our court clerk. Once you finish following our clerk's directions, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
Can I get your right thumbprint?
Making this not.
Lift it up and
Kimberly.
try it one more time.
Would you please go get Jose Lopez, Mr. Bailey?
Yeah, I have Mr. Williams here, Your Honor. He's also on trial.
Okay,
This misdemeanor is going to get dismissed when he comes back for sentencing on the felony. So we can just reset the misdemeanor. Next felony, so.
There's no need to sign it. You're right, and I'm gonna give you the dismissal. in just a second.
over to 8. Make sure Yeah, you haven't finalized the ones on the MPLP on the tablet yet. have you? Okay, because I need to make sure I have the dates are correct. Dismissal is coming on. Make sure the dates on on my dismissals too.
Make sure what's up.
My dates on the dismissals were correct. I did that one. I mean, that's the 8th. Who has Alvin Bullock? Okay, that one happened. You must be outside signing them up. We're in session at calls number 325-874. Case is style of state of Texas versus Jose De Jesus Lopez. Mr. Lopez, would you please come forward? Mr. Kimler? On the trial docket, page 2, second one from the bottom. Okay. State, what is your announcement
The state's ready, Your Honor.
and defense?
Ready.
Okay. Okay, we got 2. Okay.
We got a pretrial motion to quash on that, but it's been on file for a pretty long time.
Okay, I think this case was set for trial before. Is that correct?
Yes, it's been on the trial docket for a while.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying we actually got we got to the point of picking the jury, getting ready to pick the jury, if I'm not mistaken. You work for MS, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, and I think there was an issue of him not having taken the shot for
Yeah, there's
COVID.
something,
That's
yeah,
right.
Maybe.
It was that have been exposed to people.
Yeah, because of your employment that you stated. Okay. All right. So, Mr. The state is ready, defense is ready. Just be on standby for 1:30 tomorrow,
Yes, sir.
plus to pick a jury.
Can I go ahead and release Williams, Your Honor?
Who?
Mr. Williams, he's on the trial docket.
Well, not yet. We're gonna get to him next.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's actually set the 15th. I'm looking at the number.
Okay. Mr. Lopez, we'll see you tomorrow, 1:30, unless unless we tell your attorney otherwise. All right,
See you at
you're free to
1:30.
go. You have a blessed day.
Reset.
Why don't you go get Mr. Woodrow Barlow?
Oh.
Yeah. So.
And get Courtney Quibido as well.
I just, it's January 3rd. Yeah, okay. No, here, I'll give you.
Okay. This is cause number 324-325. Case is style of state of Texas versus Woodrow Barlow. Is that your full name? Woodrow Barlow Jr.?
Yes, sir.
Is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Barlow, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing fine. Mr. Barlow, you're represented by your attorney, Mr. Jared Gilthorpe. Mr. Gilthorpe is appearing via Zoom. He's on the camera. Mr. Gilthorpe, how are you doing?
Doing well, Judge.
That's good. Mr. Gilthorpe, what is your announcement in Mr. Barlow's case?
We're ready, Judge.
Okay. State?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Okay, now, Mr. Barlow, you're gonna stay in contact with your attorney. You're scheduled to be back here tomorrow at 1:30 for us to pick a jury. You need to be here unless your attorney tells you otherwise, unless we tell your attorney otherwise, and your attorney contact you and tell you that you don't have to appear, but you need to be back here tomorrow at 1:30. All right, you're free to go, and you have a blessed day. See you tomorrow at 1:30. Next case is cause number 324425. Case is style of state of Texas versus Courtney Kareen Quibido. Is Quibido? Would you please come forward? Stand on the X, Ms. Quibido. Ms. Quibido, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Ms. Quibido, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Jared Gilthorpe, who is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Gilthorpe, Ms. Quibido's case is also on the court's trial docket. What is your announcement in Ms. Quibido's case?
We're ready on that case, Judge.
State?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Mr. Gilthorpe, I see it that this case is a #1 trial setting. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Judge. That's
All right.
correct.
All right, so Ms. Quibido, we'll see you tomorrow at 1:30 back here for us to pick our jury. So you're free to go. Stay in contact with your attorney. You're free to go. You have a blessed day.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow at 1:30.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we're in session in cause number 324022. Case is style of state of Texas versus Jason Lynn Dahl. We have Mr. Dahl appearing via Zoom. Mr. Dahl,
Yes, Your Honor.
okay, Mr. Dahl, your attorney, Mr. Alwyn Samuel had appeared here earlier. He had to go to court in Houston, Texas. And I think he basically was asking for your case to be reset. Does he have resets on his other cases?
Yes, sir.
We're gonna put it on the same date.
January 3rd.
Okay, your case, Mr. Dahl, is gonna be reset to January 3rd. Stay in contact with your attorney and your bondsman. You're free to go and you have a blessed day.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Eric Segrist. This is cause number 328430. Case is style the state of Texas versus Eric Martin Segrist. We have Mr. Segrist appearing in court with his attorney. Mr. Segrist, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Segrist?
Good, Honor. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Segrist, you're here with your attorney, Mr. Ryan Matuska. Mr. Matuska, how are you doing?
Morning, Your Honor.
Mr. Matuska, do you have, well, an announcement in Mr. Segrist's cases? He has two cases, cause number 328430 and cause number 328940. His cases are set on the court's trial docket. What are your announcements? Ready? You ready on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, state.
Stay for Your Honor.
I guess I'm safe to say that normally I was telling you to be back at 1:30 for tomorrow, but I think you got a bunch of cases set ahead. Unless something happened with all of those cases, you probably won't have to show up tomorrow. I'm just trying to save a phone call.
Yes, sir.
Now, if we got a number one case, actually the lawyer who has a number one case has a number two case as well. So, so what we may have to do is, well, let's do this. We'll just wait until we'll reset it tomorrow. We just want to make sure we'll reset your cases on tomorrow. But I'm kind of confident in saying that we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. We got about 8, 9. Yeah, we got 10 cases ahead of you. Yeah, we can go ahead and reset that. Those two, okay. Stand over here and get your reset. You'll be free to go. Now, Ms. Matuska, Ms. Monroe's case in cause number 326362. Both the state and the defense announced ready, so you'll be on standby for tomorrow at 1:30.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Monroe, stay in contact with your attorney. Your attorney, if we tell your attorney you don't have to appear, then you won't have to appear tomorrow, but you'll be on standby to appear tomorrow at 1:30.
All right, so come up here at 1:30 unless
Yeah.
I get a call.
That's right. You got it. All right, you're free to go, and you have a blessed day. Okay, and Mr. Matuska, then you're free to go, and you have A blessed day. Do we have Kimberly Barton? She hadn't appeared. She didn't answer. Uh, Barton?
She's lying.
Is she on felony probation?
Yeah. Wait.
I don't.
She's on felony probation. There's no NTRP because they dismissed this case as a predicate violation of the felony NTRP, but yet kept it on this docket for trial, so.
Okay, well, she's not here. I mean, I will give you some time to try to, you know, if you want to contact her. Well, because we still have our docket going on.
If I could just get her here tomorrow at 1:30.
Well, she can get on Zoom today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Let me do this here. Let me call you next one.
Who's her boss, Your Honor, Michelle?
Stan Stanley.
Who, Stan Stanley?
Stan Stanley.
That's Ally, or Ace?
Wherever Patsy is, Ally.
Ally.
Yeah.
Let me call you next case. Alexander Reed Burrell. That's your next case, Mr. Kimler. This is cause number 326982, case of style of state of Texas versus Alexander Reed Burrell. Is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Burrell?
Pretty good. Yourself, Your Honor?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Burrell, well, Mr. Kimley, what is your announcement in Mr. Burrell's case?
Ready.
State?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. It's on page 3. And that'll be, you'll be set for stand by tomorrow, 1:30.
Having up here at 1:30.
Yeah.
I'll be back at 1:30.
1:30 tomorrow.
Like me, it's ready.
No. We got, you have is Lamar here?
Lamar indicated to me this morning he had some kind of medical emergency. I told him he needed to provide the medical records to his bondsman to get to you.
Okay, so Lamar did not answer.
Like I said, he said he had a medical emergency. I don't have any documentation.
Okay, well, we need to get.
I don't have any documentation to what the
Yeah.
hospital.
Okay, we also.
Carl says something about his back.
His back.
They called this morning and said he was sick.
Okay, well, until we get medical proof, yeah, we'll move forward on the bond forfeiture and.
I told him that.
Yeah. Okay, now you have.
Sandoval, she's here. Bart was a ball for. I'm calling Allied, well, not yet, I'm calling Allied on that. To see if I can get on the Zoom.
Okay, Christina Sandoval.
I guess Lamar could Zoom too, Your Honor.
Yeah, and yeah, they can zoom in.
Dang, bonds, we need to tell that the bonds are the ones that need to be coordinating this stuff.
Okay. This is cause number 329400. Case is style of state of Texas versus Christina Sandoval. Is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Ms. Sandoval? I'm doing fine. Ms. Sandoval, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Wright Kimler. Mr. Kimler, what is your announcement in Ms. Sandoval's case?
Ready.
State.
State's ready, girl.
Okay, she's the last one on this long docket, so we're gonna
Reset.
reset her because there's about 15 cases before yours. That's ready for trial. Cause number 327408, case of style of state of Texas versus Jalen Jamal January. Okay, is that your full name? Jalen Jamal January? Okay, Mr. January, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. January. I see here, there's a note on the docket that you supposed to hire an attorney. Have you hired your attorney? What did you say?
I had some issues on the price. And I was just don't know. I was working.
Oh, so okay, so you just need some time to pay your attorney your fees? Okay. How much time you need?
30 days.
Okay, let's give him 45 days.
January 3rd.
Okay, case is gonna be reset to January 3rd. Give you a chance to hire your attorney. Mr. January, you can stand over there on the X, the far X. Once you get your reset, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. I see here that Guillory, is Justin Guillory here? I see a Guillory that was reset, you hired Kevin Lane.
They hired Kevin Lane, that filed the, he had filed the,
Okay.
that over.
This is cause number 326-869, case of style of state of Texas versus Samuel K. Adams.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Adams?
I'm well, yourself.
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Adams. You represented in your case by Attorney James Macon. However, Mr. Macon is unable to be here. And Mr. Joel Vasquez is standing in for Mr. Macon.
Okay.
Does Mr. Vasquez have your permission to stand in for Mr. Macon?
Yes, he does.
Okay. Mr. Vasquez, what is your announcement?
Your Honor, I don't know about this case. I just know that there was a motion to suppress on file.
Okay, so we have to keep it on the pretrial conference docket, reset.
January 10th.
Which one?
January 10th.
It's gonna be reset to January 10th of 2022. Mr. Vasquez, you can get Mr. Adams reset. Once you get your reset from Mr. Vasquez, you'll be free to go. You have a blessed day. Case is being reset to January 10th, 2022, and you have a blessed day.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Heather LaSalle.
There she is outside. I'll grab her.
We're in session in two cases. First case is cause number 325-711. Second case is cause number 325-713. Both cases are style of state of Texas versus Heather J. LaSalle.
There's a third case.
There's a third case?
That is the one being pled on. The other two are being dismissed.
Three papers ready?
It was a.
Oh. Let me make that, let me add that on. The court is in session in 3 cases. First case is cause number 325-711. Second case is cause number 325-713. And the third case is cause number 330997. All 3 cases are styled of State of Texas versus Heather J. LaSalle. Ms. LaSalle, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Ms. LaSalle?
Good. Chilly, okay.
Oh, you look chilly? Oh, sorry, I hope we can warm it up in here. Now, Ms. LaSalle, you're here, well, actually, you represented, your attorney of record is James Macon. However, Mr. Macon is unable to be here today. And standing in for Mr. Macon is attorney Joel Vasquez. Now, does Mr. Vasquez have your permission to stand in for Mr. Macon?
Yes.
Ms. LaSalle, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. LaSalle, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. Ms. LaSalle, now, Mr. Vasquez, do you waive a record in Ms. LaSalle's case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or cases? Okay. Ms. LaSalle, in cause number 330997, I have before me an information that alleges that on or about October 7th of 2021, excuse me, December 7th of 2021, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of obstructing a highway passageway. Ms. LaSalle, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading, hold on a minute. And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Ms. LaSalle, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. It's also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document? Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of this same document, Ms. LaSalle, there's a set of initials on the line next to a box that's checked Nola Contendere.
Yes.
Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And the next document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that? Now, Ms. LaSalle, I have before me another document. This document is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. LaSalle, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Vasquez, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they are.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishments you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1 and State's Exhibit Number 2, the probable cause affidavit.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections, Mr. Vasquez?
No objection, Item 2.
No objections. States exhibits number 1 and 2 are admitted. Now, Mr. Vasquez, you have advised and counseled Ms. LaSalle. Is there any evidence that she is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. LaSalle, your attorney, Mr. Macon, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
And now, Ms. LaSalle, Mr. Vasquez has also advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Vasquez, not Ms. Vasquez, Ms. LaSalle, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
The agreement is for 1 year deferred probation, a $750 fine, 50 hours community service, DWI education, and drug and alcohol assessment. And the state is dismissing cause numbers 325-711 and cause number 325-713.
Ms. LaSalle, the state is offering that you serve 1 year on deferred adjudicated probation. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $750 plus court costs, and the court costs plus the fine comes to a total of $1,092. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Your total monthly installments that you'll be required to pay is $175 each month while you're on probation. Ms. LaSalle, will you be able to pay the $175 each month?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
And Ms. LaSalle, you'll also be required to perform 50 hours of community service. You'll be required You said she's going to be required to attend hold on a minute. A DWI education class, that's what you said?
Yes, sir. And drug and alcohol assessment.
Yeah, I don't see that on here.
I thought I circled it.
No. I'm talking about the judge. She would have to make that on here. So, Ms. LaSalle, you'll also be required to attend a DWI education class, and you'll be required to have a drug and alcohol assessment. And the state will be dismissing cause numbers 325-711 and cause number 325-713. And you also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Ms. LaSalle, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. LaSalle, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into. Well, first of all, I'll defer a finding of guilt and place you on deferred adjudicated probation for the period that you agree to, which is 1 year, with the terms and stipulations that you agreed to in the plea bargain agreement. Now, Ms. LaSalle, if you successfully complete the 1 year deferred probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It would not appear on your record as a conviction, and you may qualify for a non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorneys, either Mr. Macon or Mr. Vasquez, about the non-disclosure. They are quite competent in those matters. And now, Ms. LaSalle, you're gonna stand on the X next to Mr. Vasquez. You're gonna follow the directions of our court clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And
So I'm gonna get your right thumbprint. Thank you. Not exactly.
You need mine?
I don't need that one. There's a signature pad right here. If you will sign for me, you won't see it, but I will.
So it's dark, then just go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. That's what you can sign. That's what it's for.
that's one of the dismissals.
And if you'll raise your right hand for me, do you swear you have never before been convicted or given deferred adjudication or regular probation for a misdemeanor or felony in this or any other state?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other pending charges against you? Okay. And once you leave here, you are to report to probation, and here's our address right here. And if you wait just a moment, this Lynn's gonna give you your dismissals. Thank you.
No.
Put the right date on this dismissal.
Okay, so don't-
You remember, you knew you did that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. We're in session and cause number 327748. Case is styled the state of Texas versus Alvin Allen Bullock III. Mr. Bullock, your full name is Alvin Allen Bullock III? Okay, Mr. Bullock, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Bullock, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bullock, you can put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Bullock?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Bullock, your attorney of record is Mr. James Macon. Mr. Macon is unable to appear here this morning. Is it all right for Mr. Joel Vasquez to stand in for Mr. Macon?
Yes,
He has your permission? Okay. Now, Mr. Vasquez, do you waive a record in Mr. Bullock's case?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bullock, I have before me an information that alleges that on or about June 21st of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed to Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Bullock, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Bullock, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, no contest?
No problem.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock, I have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea information, misdemeanor plea admonishments. Also labeled as State's Exhibit number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of this same document, Mr. Bullock, there's a set of initials on a line next to a box that's checked nolo contendere, which means no contest. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
And on the next page of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is a trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, there, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box checked states that this is a plea bargaining case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? The second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Bullock, I have another document here. This document is titled the Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant? Now, Mr. Bullock, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I have just mentioned, did your attorney, Mr. Vasquez, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishments, and also State's, would you like to offer State's Exhibit number 2 as well, probable cause affidavit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any objections, Mr. Vasquez?
No, Your Honor.
No objection. State's Exhibits number 1 and State's Exhibit number 2 will be admitted. Mr. Vasquez, you advised and counseled Mr. Bullock. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Bullock, your attorney, Mr. James Macon, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Mr. Joe Vasquez, who's standing in for Mr. Macon, has also advised and counseled you.
Yes, sir.
Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bullock, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
The agreement is for 180 days probated over 1 year, a $1,000 fine, 80 hours community service, DWI education, drug and alcohol assessment, and interlock device.
Hey, Mr. Bullock, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail because you'll be placed on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $1,000 plus court costs of $422. The total fine and court costs comes to a total of $1,422. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. You'll be required to reimburse Jefferson County DWI education class and initial evaluation fee of $100. You will be required to pay that of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the amount that you'll be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $205. Mr. Bullock, will you be able to pay the $205 each month? And Mr. Bullock, you will also be required to perform 80 hours of community service. You'll be required to attend a DWI education class and have a alcohol and drug assessment. You'll also be required to install the DWI interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. And you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of probation. Mr. Bullock, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, one question though, the interlock device, I've been doing the portable breathalyzer for the past year and a half. Will that suffice for the interlock?
No, you'll be required to do the interlock. Okay. Okay.
I didn't know that.
On any vehicle that you own or operate.
It's a company vehicle. I don't own the vehicle.
Well, any vehicle that you own or operate.
Well, I wasn't aware. I thought that the portable was used as an alternative in situations like Mr. Bullock, and there was none there at all. You had a choice between the two.
I mean, by statute, it says that he's required to get an interlock on any vehicle that he own or operate.
Well, that was the term of the bail arrangement too, and they.
Yeah, but once your case is disposed of, you're no longer on bail.
Okay.
And so those conditions, you're no longer on, you'll no longer be on bond. You'll be on probation. So those are two different conditions.
Can we have a minute?
Yes, yes.